I'm Ali Chaudhry, board certified emergency physician. I live in Allentown, Pennsylvania. I did my medical school out in the Dominica, Ross University, did my residency out in Akron, Ohio, Suma Health System, and I've been here on the East Coast since, originally from California, born and raised.
Awesome. Thanks for being on the podcast. I really wanted you to have a time to share with us because you have a very unique perspective on emergency medicine. So, all our listeners who are in training and already out there in their careers may not realize, but you have made it your passion to talk about the locums life and what it's like to be your own business and the freedom that brings in your career. Is that right?
Absolutely, man. Look, I graduated in 2014 from residency, and it's been about 11 years now, which it seems like a lifetime. But I argue now that emergency medicine, the way that it is structured today, is dead. It's beyond broken. It's actually dead. It's not sustainable as a career anymore. Uh, just about everyone that I work with who isn't a 1099 locum is burnt out, is depressed, is seeking a way out.
Yeah.
And so I've been able to find freedom and been able to live a life that is fulfilling and more enjoyable and adventurous. So I just want to share with other doctors that like what it is that I'm doing and how I got here. It's not some sort of secret hack or some trick that only I knew somebody who can get me in. This is available to everyone who's an emergency doctor and other specialties. I don't know if there's other specialties that listen to this podcast, but it does apply to anesthesia, GI, and some other specialties that are procedure based. But my heart really goes out to ER docs because no one gets what we go through.
Mm.
Not our spouses at home, not our kids, not our other colleagues in other specialties. And I see what we go through and just the stress of the job itself, the psychological stress, the emotional stress, the physical stress of nights and days and going back and forth. And somehow it's normalized that we just accept that and work 14 days a month doing that every single month.
Mhm.
Like, I just don't understand how that became normal. And so I'm surprised more people aren't burnt out and leaving. And we're a specialty that has the highest burnout rate. Like no one, like why aren't we addressing these issues? Why aren't emergency physicians taking control of this or having a voice that actually matters? And for me, locum tenens is a way to actually take back control, take back freedom, and operate and approach your career in a way in which you have the autonomy and freedom, but also at the same time have practicing as an emergency physician. So there's a lot to say about this. We can go in many different directions. I could keep going.
So if you're listening to this podcast and you don't know what locum tenens is, it's a form of employment or a form of working where you're not employed by just one person. You're an independent corporation and you get to pick and choose where you're going to work. And you're not a standard W-2 employee of some healthcare system or a hospital or an urgent care center or wherever it is that you're currently working. And now tell me, when did you get your start doing locums work?
And I want to maybe just add a little bit more color to that because that key difference, what you just described, the difference between an employee and a independent contractor, is the reason why emergency physicians are feeling trapped and burnt out. That's the reason why we are not living life to the maximum potential that we possibly can. That's the reason why emergency doctors aren't making $500,000 every single year. That should be baseline. So it's a very simple difference. It's not, again, you don't have to read it in some 1,000-page book in the middle somewhere where you can't get this information. It's very straightforward. It's very easy to understand. Once you understand it, you will start to think of approach the way that you are practicing differently because now you'll recognize the difference. Okay, W-2, may I go into this very quickly? Or do you want
Yeah,
to
go for it. Yeah, yeah.
W-2 employment is a standard approach that every doctor, when they graduate from residency, is what they're going to get into. So whether you're an employee at a hospital, contract management group usually is W-2. Some are 1099 though, if you join like the travel team or whatever. Or if an independent group, there's a little bit of a different structure. But a lot of doctors go into employment because it's the most common and easiest way to practice medicine.
Yeah.
Is it easy? Easy. Because you get your benefits handed to you. You don't have to think about them. And you get paid your check. You get your schedule is made for you and you can make requests here and there, but it's pretty much handed to you. And so you're like on autopilot in your career, right? But that's the problem. When we go into autopilot because of how stressful our career and our job is, and no one actually understands how it is, that's what leads to burnout and discontent with our life and our career. What 1099 does and what practicing as a locum does is it gives you in the word itself, independent contractor. You're not independent, right? You're not dependent on a single hospital to take control over you and give you your schedule and give you your hours and all this stuff. You're taking control back now. Now you have control over your schedule and how much you get paid.
Mhm.
And I'll touch upon this now. Last year, I made over $550,000 working the same number of hours my W-2 colleagues are working.
Mm.
They're not making more than 350, almost 200K more. But what about the benefits and all that stuff? Yes, benefits don't cost me $200,000 a year. Okay. And so I did a presentation recently at a residency program in Modesto, California, and I showed them the difference in terms of just the income, even taking into account for benefits and things like that. Over the course of 10 years, you're making over $1 million more as a 1099 locum than an employee.
Yeah.
So again, this is a whole topic, and I have a section on my book about this. I have a section in my course about this. I can go into a lot of depth, but we'll leave it there.
So, if you are someone who is interested in locums, is it something you'd recommend doing directly out of residency, or do you need a certain amount of time at a hospital or as a W-2 employee before you think you should venture out and start being an independent contractor?
I think it's important to know where your shortcomings are. I think that for some doctors coming out of residency, and we have a few that work with us right out of get the residency, and they're killing it. They're doing a great job. The directors love them, but there's a few others, and in my experience, has been much less of these who maybe struggle with the single coverage sites.
Mm.
And so it's important to know where you fall in that. So if you find yourself that you would maybe need a little bit more encouragement or maybe a little bit more time to just start getting independent on your own, in those scenarios, I would say maybe start working as a W-2, or you get a locum job in a place that has double or triple coverage. And you can be in those during those shifts where you're not just by yourself. I think that's
Yeah.
kind of scares us sometimes. And so it's very possible, but it's all important to be honest with yourself as well.
And if you're looking for locums opportunities, do they generally tend to be more of the single coverage type because they're in
They
different types of hospitals?
can be, but not necessarily. Critical access hospitals and hospitals that are remote generally tend to have a higher need, but not always. Oftentimes, they're satellite hospitals to a main center. And so it's just about looking around. It's about being informed. That's the one thing I tell doctors coming out of residency and as attendings who've been in the game for years. You have to be informed about your options and know what's out there. If you don't know what's out there, you're going to undervalue yourself, or you're going to put yourself in a position where you're underpaid, put it at the wrong site that's understaffed, and get screwed. You can walk on some landmines if you're not informed.
Mm.
So that's why it's important to educate yourself about the career options that you have in front of you. You don't have to take the locums, but you should know what it is. You should understand what the benefits are, what the disadvantages are, and so on. When you're not informed is when you make decisions that can compromise your well-being and your happiness and can lead to burnout and things like that. So extremely important for us to approach our careers not on autopilot, but thinking intentionally about what it is that I'm doing, why am I doing it, and is it going to lead to fulfillment in 10, 15, 20 years?
So, if someone is considering a locums career and then say has a family, do you have a family? You have children? So, how do you handle that with locums? Does that have you traveling more, say, than a W-2 position might? And how do you work that into your family life?
Great question. I get this all the time. Ali, I do locums, but I have a family. Okay. Now, everyone's family is different. I can't say that each situation is copy and paste and you can do the exact same thing. But I'll tell you this. Yes, I'm a father. I travel. I have a mom. I'll tell you an example of a mom that works with us. She has 5 children.
Mm.
She works full-time locums now because she says it gives her so 2 things. One, it gives her time to decompress between shifts. Again, ER, no one understands what we do. When you go home from an ER shift, you need a breather. You need to take a little bit of time to relax. I still work clinically. I still work 100 hours a month. So your family, when you get home, is expecting you to be on the moment you walk through the door. Your kids aren't going to give you some time to just chill and relax and drink your tea and whatever, right? You got to put them to bed. You got to make them the meals. They're waiting for you. You've been gone all day. You got responsibilities the moment you walk through that door. Your spouse may not understand what you're going through. They can't. If they're not ER, if they don't work in the ER as a doctor or a nurse or something, they don't get it. And you can't
Sure.
expect them to. So they're not going to understand that they need to give you a little bit of time to decompress as well. So she said, this is the only time I get to myself and I love it. So in between shifts, you'll work like 4 or 5 shifts in a row, stay at the hotel. And guess what? She has time to herself. She never gets time to herself besides the locum shifts that she's working. And so she absolutely loves it. Now, a lot of doctors do, and I did this as well, is that during the times that we're away, we'll get additional help for our spouse. Her spouse works from home. His job is remote. and they're able to get like a nanny or babysitter or some extra help or extra care during those hours or those days. And that way, and also so that's one way to do it. Another benefit of that is actually it helps to bring people to, I think it actually helps strengthen relationships.
Hmm.
Being gone for a period of time, when you come back, you look forward to seeing your spouse and your kids. Like it is a little bit stressful when you need to decompress and you can't. You're just all in each other's faces all the time. So I've actually found in my experience and other people who've done it, like it actually helps to have a little bit of distance, a little bit of time away. Then when you come back, they say absence makes the heart fonder, right? And so that's another benefit of it as well. And so yeah, travel is it can it and not to mention that was last year. I told you how much I made 500 plus thousand. This year I'm working only 8 shifts a month, and I'm still making over 300. I'm on target to make over $380,000. 8 shifts a month. So I wish I could
Mm.
show you my schedule, but I work them all in one block.
Huh.
I'm in the middle right now of a 5-week vacation.
Wow.
And I do this every other month now. I take 4 weeks off at a time. I work by block, so I'm off until August 23rd. I think 24th is my first shift. I've been off since, I think, early July. I don't remember. I traveled the world. I was in Tunisia, I was in London, I was in Switzerland, Portugal. I just got back. I still have 2 weeks off. Do you understand? I have
Yeah.
more time with my family than any one of my colleagues does, paid more than them. So I can do whatever I want. I can work 8 shifts a month and still make more. Or I can, if I want to make more money and just stack up my cash and invest or buy a house or whatever, I can do that too.
So
But
when you work your 8 shifts, you're doing that in one large block
yeah,
to
I work
accumulate that the rest of the
eight,
time off?
12-hour shifts. I make $330 an hour. And over the course of a year, if you just add that up, do the math, it's $380,000. And people I say, well, I can't do 8 shifts. You can if you have 4 or 5 weeks off right after that, right? And in between shifts, I optimize for sleep, for recovery. I'm not doing a lot of things on those shifts, that 8 shifts block. I work some nights as well in that block. There's not a productivity out of me. I don't see my family, sure, for 8 days, but for 30 plus days, I am, right? And I'm actually there. So people talk about this idea, like, are you really present when you're home between shifts? Oh yeah, I want to be home every day. Okay, is that just something you were told because that's what the expectation is, because that's what the norm is? Or is it actually good for you being home after a shift when you're tired and burnt out, just need a freaking break, versus working a stretch of shifts, being away, and then coming back and being, hey, I'm home for 30 days. I'm good. I don't know. I think people have it twisted. They just don't know what they don't know.
And when you do your stretch of 8, for example, is that all in one facility, one location?
I've been fortunate. I've been at this site in Delaware for about 7 years as a locum. It's
Wow.
been that long? 6 years as a locum. The last 3 years as pretty much full time, meaning I work like there exclusively. I am credentialed at a couple of other sites. In the game for locums, always you got to be credentialed at least 2, ideally 3 sites at any given time. In case one dries up, you can always work at another one, so you're never out of a job. That's what people say. Oh, locums is unstable. It's not if you play the game, and I've been playing it for 10 years, and I'm a pro at it, so I can teach you a thing or two.
So when you say you've been at the same facility for 6 years, that are you the only locums person, and is everybody else a W-2, or is it just kind of a mix, or how does that work exactly?
I've been there longer than most of their full timers, and
Wow.
I'm definitely not the only locum there. So yeah, there's a bunch of other locums. As a matter of fact, I have a staffing company as well. It's called Locums United. I started that 8 years ago, and so we have a few other docs that work there through our staffing company to help. And people always have this idea, if I may add, that oh, locum is only at dumpster fire sites. This is another common misconception.
Mm,
I think a lot of residents, when I see them, they have this, they ask me this question, hey, are they only at dumpster fire sites? Because I think that's the thing that gets passed around from
sure.
the endings who don't know any better, who've never done it. And I've been if I've been doing it for 10 years full time, now it's 11. I've been at a dozen plus sites in the last 10 years. And only one, which was the first one I went to, was a dumpster fire site, which was in just complete chaos. And that was from another company that is big name company that's out there that put me at this place. And that's the reason why I actually started my own company, because you know what? I'm not going to do any doctor like they did me. And so I started my own. I was like, yeah, I'm going to pay my doctors good. And I'm going to send them to sites that I would work at.
So I could see maybe years ago where staffing shortages were not as bad and people could become W-2 employees and stick around for a while. The only sites that couldn't hire people would be those dumpster fire places, as you said. But now, national shortage, emergency physicians are in high demand everywhere. So you're saying you could actually get a locums position in in a larger city, maybe like an urban center even, and sometimes they're temporary and sometimes, like in your Delaware case, they're not?
Most of the sites I've worked at, everything's about geography. Like you said, there's a supply and demand tension here, right? Less supply of doctors, high demand. Now, doctors, we don't understand or we've forgotten basic economics. When that happens, you can demand a higher price.
Hmm,
But we let the hospital dictate to us what they're going to pay us and take like a fraction of what we deserve. And so we're not playing that supply demand tension in our own favor. And I'm not saying we should gouge the hospital and make $1,000 an hour. No, I don't think that's necessarily it either. But I think what we do, the work that we do, we need to get compensated more for. I just don't think anyone else gets it. Again, not admin or anything else. So the supply demand tension that exists, it means that there's going to be hospitals all across the country that are short staffed. Now, if you go to maybe Hawaii, you're going to have a hard time finding a locum need there because everybody wants, if it can be there, they'll take a
sure.
much smaller salary than anyone else. But the vast majority of places, look, the big metropolitan cities, maybe just an hour, 2 hours outside of that, you find a lot of hospitals that need help. And there's
Mm,
nothing wrong with these places. They run very well. They're actually very functional places, but they don't have the desired geography for people to want to live there.
mm,
I'll go out there and work some shifts, but I don't want to live there freaking, I don't know, small town Alabama, right? It's just not what I want to raise my family in. I don't want to build like a social network there necessarily because all my friends live here. I want to live in one place. I'll go work there for like 4 or 5 shifts and then come back. You see what I mean?
yeah.
So that's really what the situation is for the vast majority of sites, in my experience, is that they're just short staffed. They're well functioning places, but just can't find doctors who want to stay there. They'll get doctors out of residency. They'll come and stay there for a couple of years, and then they're like, well, what am I doing here? I need to go back in now. I need to go back to our parents where they live and all that stuff.
So in your personal geographic region, how far are you traveling routinely for your locums job? Are you going like across the country? Or are you more regionalized? What's it look like for you?
I've done it all. And I've been fortunate. I live in the Northeast or Eastern Pennsylvania. 90% of my jobs have been within driving distance, meaning that I could drive there, stay there for a couple of days. I couldn't drive there every day between shifts,
Sure.
but driving within 2 to 3 hours tops. So I would usually go drive and do a stretch of 4 to 5 shifts in a row and then come back. There are sites that I've gone to in Michigan and in California. Those are short term. I didn't do them as much, but some people like doing that because we have some family or some relatives in California, or they just want to go visit and stay there, whatever. Totally possible. And guess what? The hospital pays for your travel
Mm.
and for your hotel. And guess what? This year, because the hospital pays for my travel, I have over 1 million Hilton honors points, which I can use for when I travel, book like 5-star hotels for free. And that adds up to about $20,000 a year and just free travel stipend, essentially. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
there's all these cool little perks that you can do, and you don't have to get on a plane if you don't want to. It depends where you do live, but most places say you live in Dallas. There's several I get jobs opportunities and things we're an hour outside of Dallas, 2 hours outside of Dallas. So you can live there in the city that you want to, but just drive out, stay there for a couple of days, and come back, and you're done.
All right. So let's talk about some of the like practical day-to-day matters of being a independent contractor. So you've been fortunate enough to go back to some of the same hospitals again and again, but let's say you're in this position and you're working multiple hospitals. How do you adjust to different
Yeah,
EMRs and different consultants and
yeah.
trying to understand the flow of and how things are done at each department without being someone who's been there for a while already?
Yeah, you're gonna get butterflies for your first shift or two, and it's because you know the medicine, but you don't know the system, so you just feel somewhat handicapped.
Yeah.
I again haven't done it for at least 12 times in the last 10 years. It just takes, and I know I'm better at it now because or recently just because I know that it takes about 2 weeks. 2 weeks of consistency working there, you will get a hang of the system, who to consult, what the EMR is like, and you'll be more or less independent. And usually hospitals, when you come on early, they recognize that you're going to be somewhat handicapped because it's
Mm.
a new system for you. So they'll usually have some leeway. Um, so yeah, it's not that hard. We're smart people generally. If you're the EMRs, yes, some are harder to learn than others, but as long as you're going there consistently and not taking like months off between shifts for your locum, because then you're not going to remember the system when you go back.
Yeah.
So there has to be some level of consistency. But if it's Epic and you use Epic at home, then it shouldn't be that big a deal, right? Or whatever EMR that you use.
So after say 2 weeks of being at a facility, then there is some advantage to going back to that same center a few more times if you have the option to in your locum's geography.
Yeah, and also remember, credentialing takes forever. It's a pain in the butt, dude. Like credentialing is if there's one negative to locums, it's credentialing.
Mm.
I hate credentialing. It's the most painful thing that we like. I think physicians have to do. Even the ER work is less painful in my opinion. Although I guess that's debatable. But like credentialing, and the reason is because these hospitals have these antiquated credentialing requirements for the most ridiculous things. And then you'll send it to them, and then they'll say that they didn't get it, but you sent them to them 2 weeks ago. You can show them the email, like, oh, can you send it again? And so the way that I tell doctors and the way that I train them inside our training community, the Locum OS, is that create a Google folder and have sub tabs in that folder for each thing. So for licenses, your DEAs, your residency diploma, health documents, all those things. So that way, anytime you start a new credentialing package, you have all that data ready and it's easy to plug and play. Because otherwise, if you're trying to figure out through your emails, try to find it, all this stuff, like it's never going to get done.
Yeah. Okay. So it takes a little organization. I can see that.
Tad bit.
It takes a little
Our
bit.
organization, and you'll be done. You'll be set for life.
And then, okay, so you have an interest, maybe you are ready to do some traveling or you're not objecting to any of the traveling. You got to spend a couple of weeks at each place to kind of get the lay of the land. You've got your EMRs you can adjust to when it comes to, do you think the majority of independent contractors are out there working on their own, or are they working with, say, like locum staffing companies where you get to know some people who are regionally doing the same thing? Or in your experience, how's that worked out?
Usually it's through locums companies, and I've tried going directly as well. This is one of the things, because when I had my first job and my bad experience, I was like, you know what, I'm just going to contact hospitals directly. And I tried doing that, and that's a big pain too, because you can't find the right person to talk to. And if you do, they'll say we don't contract directly, and you have to work with the locums through X locum company or this vendor management system.
Okay.
Hospitals will take you directly, and so I know doctors that do that, and they'll spend the time to do it. But the landmine of what working on the locum companies is getting underpaid, getting sent to the wrong sites, and then playing games with you. So I know many doctors who I've worked with side by side at sites, and they're getting paid $50 per hour less than I am, because I take care of my docs. I make sure that we get paid top dollar going in, right? We don't have to negotiate or figure out what your worth is. Whereas this other locums company, remember, traditional locums companies, they have recruiters on their team, right? I don't have any recruiters on our team. I am the recruiter. So their incentive is, okay, so say a doctor says I'll take 200 per hour, but say they're billing the hospital like 400. Huge commission, right?
Wow.
Is if a doctor says, hey, I want 300, so then there's a smaller commission there.
Yeah.
Their goal is to lowball you and pray and hope that you don't know what your value is.
Wow.
And so most doctors, like myself, I was a sucker. I didn't know what my worth was. I took that $200 per hour job. I did. That was my first one I took. And later on, I was like, oh, dude, I probably left 50 to 100,000 plus on the table just because I didn't know I should have asked for 300. We're not good negotiators. We've been medicine,
Yeah.
one way thinking. We don't know negotiating skills. We're very much in many ways infantile and very juvenile in many ways, because we trained very highly and very deeply in one thing, but nothing else.
Yeah. We don't go to business school, so it's not in the curriculum.
Very underdeveloped in other ways. And so that's part of the thing I'm also teaching doctors, is start developing yourself in other realms. Whatever it is, just like in terms of leadership, in terms of entrepreneurship, in terms of about just just setting boundaries for yourself and knowing what your worth actually is. And because you miss out on that for 10 years, like of things that you would learn in the real world, I guess, if you were to take a job or take an offer, do a counter offer, things like that. Like we don't think that way because we're just thinking about how to save lives.
Yeah.
And how to do this intubation, and if this doesn't go well, what's my next step? All those type of things. We're thinking algorithmically. What are we doing next? And so there's no training for doctors once they graduate residency. Like now you're completely on your own. 10 years, handheld, everything. After you're done, you're on your own. So now you have to just figure out things and try and error. That's what I did. I didn't know any better. But it's important to try to find, I think, people who are where you want to be and try to see how they did what they did, because otherwise you're going to make the same mistakes, and those are costly mistakes that I made. And I'm just trying to teach people how not to make those mistakes that I made, because I could be much further ahead if I didn't.
So then picking the right locums company is critical in this scenario, like one you can trust, but also one that's you can negotiate with in one that you're
Yeah.
not desperate for.
And to be clear, look, I would love for people to work with our company, but I logistically can't place every single doctor because we have limited number of jobs and we do get those placed quickly. But what's more important is that you know what your worth is and what your value is,
Mm.
right? So I tell ER docs, if you're working at a site, generally speaking, don't take anything less than $300 per hour. Just don't. If it's 1099, don't take less than $300 per hour. Now, the caveat to that is if you're working at a 24-hour shift at a small critical access hospital that only sees 4 patients a day, those are sometimes a little less than that, like maybe in the 200s or so. But beyond that, 300 should be your baseline and then go up from there. I don't know if you're familiar with the Doc Jobs Facebook group and on our newsletter as well. So we post these jobs in there, and our jobs have been up to 330, 350 per hour, 375. We even posted one last year for 400. My goal is to just pay docs what our value is, what our worth is. So that way, honestly, like we can set ourselves up for success outside of the walls of the hospital, because I want us to have good, happy, long, fulfilling careers.
So when you as a independent contractor register with a locums company, you're contracting with them and then they go off and contract with the hospital for however many hours you're going to work. But does that require any kind of exclusive agreement with a locums company, or can you contract with multiple ones? How does that generally work?
Very good point. Caution to everyone. Do not share your CV with any recruiter until you're 100% sure that you want to be working at that particular site. And also, make it clear to them that you only want your CV presented to that one singular site. There's so many shady tactics that I've seen in the industry. What some rookie recruiters will do is that they'll take your CV and they'll just shotgun it to a bunch of places without your permission. Or maybe you said, hey, you can send it to one site, but let's send it to a bunch. That does is once your name has come across a credentialing site facility, they have your name now on a file. And now for 2 years, you cannot work at that site with any other locums company except for the one that's presented you initially.
Interesting.
Locks you in. So I've had that so many times. I'll post one of these high-paying jobs on this Facebook group and in my email list, and doctors will say, "Hey, man, I saw this job. Can I apply?" I'm like, "Sure." So they apply, and then we get a message back from the site like, "Hey, this doctor's already in our system. They can't work there with us." So I message the doctor back, "Hey, what happened?" "Yeah, man, like X company," and I don't want to name names, but this company presented me like 2 weeks ago for 300, but I saw the job on yours for 350. I'm like, "Yeah, unfortunately, I can't do anything about that. I just the bylaws are what they are, and I wouldn't, because that's what the rules are." I caution docs to, again, do your homework, make sure you know where you're going, how much you should get paid, do some research, go to Facebook, join our newsletter, just so you know what is out there and what rates are going, because otherwise you're going to sell yourself short.
So in that scenario, you send your CV to locum staffing company X, they give it to the hospital, and then the hospital says the only way you can work for us is now through this company for this period
Sure.
of time.
For usually it's a 2-year clause for that. Yeah.
And that's a
It's
clause between the hospital and the
and the
locums company.
company, yes.
Okay.
It's a standard clause, and the hospital enforces that, not the locums company. So
Right.
technically, if the locums company didn't know about you, and say, for example, I just presented and the hospital said, yes, okay, we could do that.
Right.
I wouldn't, but I'm saying that's possible. But the hospital itself has it in their bylaws and their system, like anyone that's been presented, because they have a relationship with these companies too, or any bridges, and they don't want to do things that are outside because then they won't get good candidates. So they enforce this.
Gotcha. And but there's nothing in the contracts that makes you exclusive to a locums company. So you
Well,
could
no,
if you
absolutely not. Yeah, no, you can work with any company as long as you haven't been sent to that particular site or your name hasn't been sent over to them. You can work with any company at any time, really.
awesome. Awesome. And then all right, so now tell me about your company. Now you are staffing locums in a specific region of the US, or how big of a blanket is it?
So we're national. We're national. We have contracts in California, Arizona, Oklahoma, East Coast, Northeast, and now starting to venture to the South as well. And yeah, we have contracts all over. And our contracts come and go pretty quickly because we post high paying jobs. Like they get taken very fast. And yeah, it's a physician founded company. Myself and my brother, who's not a physician, we started the company 8 years ago because of my first experience that I talked about earlier.
Mm.
And I said, look, man, at this point, no one's watching us for us doctors and no one will. That's when I realized early on that no one really cares about us.
Mm.
And I don't mean that like some sort of cliche, but I just realized it is what it is, right? I'm not going to try to fight the system. Like the hospital system, the corporate system doesn't care about us. We're just like cogs in the wheel. We get called into the office for potassium that we didn't correct. That was 3.3, some BS stuff, right? And and my same experience with that locums company. So I'm like, you know what? I've always been the type of person like things don't have to be the way that they are. And so what can I do to change them? And I was fortunate that my brother has a business and finance background because I don't. I'm just a doc. I just people. And so we partnered up and to build something that was going to favor our doctors and not have them try to figure out, play the games that they have to play with these other locums companies. We're just direct. I still work clinically, like I said. I'm some person who made a bunch and now I'm just chilling. I work clinically still. I make sure that we are very high touch. We pay them what they're worth. And you'll see on these various forums that people love us. I come to conferences, people love meeting me and saying hello. And we post sometimes these funny little AI images that people like and stuff too. So we have a good time with that. I love it because I get to meet people and honestly get to change some lives. Like for me, that's been the biggest part and revelation for me that this year and last year where I started seeing people who actually messaging me saying, man, you changed my life.
Wow. That's awesome.
And I was like, wait, I thought I was just going to do this locum thingy. And like, when now it's coming to something else, because it changed my life. So I guess I shouldn't be surprised that it's changed other people's lives, but I wasn't consciously thinking about that. And so now it's giving me even more meaning behind what I'm doing because again, I take it for granted what I'm doing now. Having a month off for me is norm now, but seeing my colleagues and what they're going through, I think that it hits home now when I see them saying, hey, you helped me a lot. It means a lot.
Yeah. Okay, so one more question, sorry, about the practicality of how this is done. So when it comes to the malpractice insurance portion of it, is that something that's typically covered by the locums agency, or do you have to have your own as an independent contractor?
It should be covered by your locums agency, yes. And there's been a lot of issues with malpractice with various large companies going under and things like that. Just make sure that you ask your company to offer you a certificate of insurance that says that, hey, if anything happens to our company, that you'll still be covered. You shouldn't have to pay for that. And most companies have similar large organizations that are out there. They'll have a similar kind of insurance policy. So just make sure that you're aware of that and
Keep track of that.
keep track of it. Yeah. Oh, and one thing is that when you're doing your credentialing and all that, make sure you have a folder for certificates of insurance. It's called a COI for short, because those things are almost impossible to chase down later on. Sometimes hospitals shut down or someone else is coming in and you can't get a hold of the right person. You'll always get one when you first start working at a new site from the locums company, or say you're working with a large contract management group or independent group or something else. Just make sure every time you work at a new site, you get that certificate of insurance and you put it in a folder, because otherwise, like, it can be impossible to try to trace those down. You will thank me for that later.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. So if someone's listening and they want to reach out to you, how do they get a hold of you? How do they learn more about your company?
I'm not hard to find. I have various social medias and things like that. I'm on Facebook as Ali Chaudhry. My Instagram is at the real top doc. I have my company, which is Locums United, my staffing company, but I also have a new training platform that I just launched. And we're doing our first live webinar this month on August 27th. You can find out more information at thelocumos.com, and you can /workshop, and you can sign up there. And I'm going to do my first live workshop where I'm going to be giving away a lot of free value and a free gift for everyone who joins, something that I've been working on for over 2 years. I'm going to give it away for free. So make sure you come, and I want to see you there too, Sam.
Awesome. Hey, I'll be there. I'm looking forward to it. All right, Ali, thank you for taking the time in between your multiple weeks off to come talk to us about the locums life. This is some precious information for anyone who's listening, who's feeling the crunch in whatever emergency department you're in. We all feel it. Definitely some food for thought if you're not out there working locums already. And even if you are, whether you're a physician, really a PA, a nurse practitioner, any type of traveling locums clinician, this is some solid, sound advice. Actually, one question for you. Are you staffing non-physicians as well, like nurse practitioners and PAs?
We do APPs, so PAs, NPs, CRNAs as well. Anyone who has, they fall into the locum demographic. Nurses we don't do because they're a completely different kind of system. And I'll be at ACEP as well this year. We have a booth there. You can come find me at ACEP.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you very much, Ali. Really appreciate you taking the time to share with us.
Yeah, man. Really appreciate it. Thank you.